All right then, and welcome back to Iron Sports. The 12th edition of the ICC Cricket World Cup got underway on Thursday with host England crushing South Africa by 104 runs at the Oval. But what are the chances of our own West Indies in the tournament, having not been to the final since 1983 and have not been to the semi-finals since 1996. Well, a man who has played at the World Cup and, of course, president of the West Indies Players Association, Wavell Hines, joins us now on set to discuss this and more, looking at the West Indies' chances and the tournament overall. Wavell, welcome to Iron Sports.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
All right, let's go to the opening match where favourites England really took apart South Africa, made it look easy. They made South Africa look as if they're an ordinary side, beating them by 104 runs. Your take on England's opening performance, and is this the kind of performance we can expect from them throughout the tournament?
Well, England was always labelled favourites. If you check the record of the England team, the last 12 months going into the World Cup, the performance, especially with the bat, has been outstanding. They played at the Oval today on a tricky wicket, but they still managed to get in excess of 300, which says that they're in good nick. And not only did they get 300, I think they had about 3 or 4 of their players getting over 50. Right. So that says that they are in good nick and they're performing well. Let us not squirt around it. Their bowling attack has been boosted by Mr. Archer's inclusion. Jafra Archer's inclusion in the squad. And certainly they played true to form. On the other hand, the South Africans have been always known to be chokers of major tournaments. If you remember back in 1999 against Australia in England, where they messed up off the last ball, I think Alan Donnell was at the crease. So I think they have that monkey on their backs to deal with. They've got Otis Gibson, a West Indian coach there. I'm sure that he's aware of that and they'll want to fix it. But they certainly didn't execute well in this game. They were outplayed in all 3 departments, and we must also note that England showed that they are so much of an organised team that their fielding was top shelf, and that says a lot about a team's performance and gelling.
Something else that stood out, Wavell, the pitches that they seem to have prepared and have been preparing for the tournament seem to be flat pitches where lots of runs are expected. Now, we saw England 311, the West Indies in their practice match, 422 runs, for instance. Now, there's talks of which team can get up to 500 runs, break that record, and get up to that 500-run team score. Your thoughts on these pitches and if it's fair to the bowlers?
Well, it's quite impressive. At this time of the year, it's England. Normally, May, back end of May, it's still a little bit wet. You're getting into June, you get a lot drier, and then July, August is where you have the peak time for cricket in England. So I think it's quite impressive. Remember that the advent of T20 cricket as well has its mark on 50-over competition. So the manner in which people plan cricket and the manner in which they plan a batting innings is different from when you had 50-over World Cup 20 years ago. So that in itself also gives teams the belief that they can. Individuals prepare differently. There's a lot more hitting there. The attack is not reserved for the first 15 overs and the last 10 overs anymore. It's right through. It's a sustained attacking cricket right through the 50 overs. So the average run rate will go up, and as such, it is not you would say out of the minds of anyone that 500 will soon be a target that people will achieve. Because if you look at teams that have power hitters at the top of their innings and in the middle of their innings when they finish, and if they have good, consistent batsmen throughout, they certainly can give a total of that nature. So 400 has been cleared. 400 is par. Yeah. And what we'll say is that if you don't have wicket-taking bowlers in your team, sometimes you're going to be left wondering, because you could make 450 and still lose a game.
Speaking of wondering, we're all wondering just how well the West Indies can do. Shea Hope, he believes we have the firepower to get up to that 500 mark. Kevin Peterson, he believes the West Indies can make it to the semi-finals. Jacques Kallis believes the West Indies can also get to the semi-finals. But your thoughts on the West Indies overall chances at the tournament, and can we win it?
Of course, West Indies can win. Can only get to the semi-final. We need to get there before we get into the finals. So I will agree with them, but I'll go a step further to say that we can get to the finals and win it. Naturally, our batting is our strength, and on our day when we're feeling well, we can feel just as good as anyone, or even better. We are quite explosive, dynamic. I think we will have to face the fact that our bowling is not as penetrative as we'd like it to be, but it is also experience, especially in the seam bowling department. Andre Russell, Kemar Roach, Jason Holder, those are three guys who understand what it takes to bowl at that level. And I'm sure that once you can put a bowling unit together, the discipline can come in and the captain can lead from the front. I'm sure that we will get formidable bowling attacks and bowling units going through. It is also going to be challenging for the West Indies, especially if we bowl first against a good batting attack.
Right.
Because then that will put the scoreboard pressure and the batters will want to make sure that they keep up with the run rate. And as I said earlier, people are planning to have consistent attacking batting throughout the innings. It's no longer reserved for the first 15 or the last 10 overs.
Right.
So it's going to be sustained attacking batting right through the 50 overs. And West Indies will have to do that as well. So I think Chris Gayle will certainly be the top of the order. We'll hope that Mr. Lewis comes to the fore early with Chris. Shai has shown immense consistency so far. We have Jason Hole in the middle, and of course Andre Russell, who is the Superman, the guy with X factor, will certainly look to take games away from other teams in the blink of an eye. So we're not going to coming together. I'm sure the first practice game against Australia is a good sign. And then the improvement that went with the New Zealanders.
Right.
We look at the West Indies will continue to build on that.
All right, we need to get off to a good start, and we face Pakistan in our opening game. But these two teams are similar in terms of their unpredictability. You don't know which West Indies team might turn up on the day. You're not sure which Pakistan team might turn up on the day. But both teams are tournament teams. How do you see that opening match going against Pakistan, and what does the West Indies need to do in order to prevail?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty about these teams in terms of how they perform, the West Indies and Pakistan. I'm very mindful of the fact that, as you said, both teams are tournament teams, but the last tournament that Pakistan played in England, they won. It's the Champions Trophy.
Right.
And that is about a year ago or 2 years ago. So I am very mindful of that. They've got basically the same core team, same coaching staff, so they will have had a strategy that they would have applied then and certainly implementing the daily tactics as to how to execute on the day. So I'm sure that they'll be coming at the West Indies. They played a decent series against England in England before the World Cup. I think they lost the series, but they had good batting scores on a consistent basis. It's just that England's batting has been superior. So I'm mindful of that. And Pakistan, as you know, are very, very dynamic, especially in their bowling unit. So it will be a good contest. I expect the West Indies to come out on top. I prefer to have the runs on the board and try and defend it than to try and contain somebody and then get what they make. Yeah. So I prefer the West Indies have the first hit, set the targets out, and apply the scoreboard pressure with some good game tactics to try and win the game.
Speaking of being mindful, the mindset of the players, it's very important too, that they are comfortable and relaxed going into their games. We got some reports earlier that some of their contracted players were unhappy that the non-contracted players were able to earn twice as much as them in match fees. They met with Johnny Graves, I believe, with a MOU between WEPA and Cricket West Indies set to expire on about June 30. Are there plans to discuss these issues and to ensure that there's not an issue of any uprising at the tournament from players where fees are concerned, etc.? No. Because we often see this at World Cup tournaments, whether cricket or football. Yeah,
we want to make sure that the players are as comfortable as possible. So all those questions that were asked were answered, and all is well going forward. MOU, the current